So welcome everybody to Mindful Weekend Yoga on this Saturday in January. Today I wanted to focus on this idea of exploring what feels good to you. I think that many of us have an idea that there's a better way to do yoga or things that work better, or other people might be doing it better. And this extends beyond your yoga mat. It extends into life too. And the idea that there is no right way to do yoga, and it's about learning about yourself and learning what feels good for you. I've had several conversations with clients this week about yoga and realizing that a lot of people think that it's still hard an exercise. And my message would be that it's good for you, and it is exercise, and it does strengthen you. But the harder part of it is learning about what works for you and what works for your body. And that's kind of similar to the harder part about life, figuring out what works for you and what works for your body. So this is just an hour practice of doing that and exploring and listening. And one of the key things that came up is this idea of not just listening to your body, but acting accordingly. And in all of these sessions, I always talk about doing what works for you. And so we may listen and we may hear our body, and then we may not act accordingly, which often happens in life. We do what we think we're supposed to do or what's expected of us. And especially for those of you that are physicians, we don't act according to what our body tells us to do. We act according to what we're supposed to do most of the time. And so yoga is a chance to tap back into that and tap back into listening and moving and exercising in ways that work for you. And when we do that, we actually stretch more, strengthen more, learn more, and grow more. So that's the offering and the thought this morning, to explore what feels good to you. And so with that, find as we say, a comfortable spot on your mat. And I have been nudging over the last few months, encouraging people to get blocks for their home practice. And part of that is to help do what works for you. So if you have blocks, use them. You can sit on one, you can sit on two, or a bolster, knowing that they're not a crutch or something that makes yoga easier. It's actually something that oftentimes helps you get farther into the practice and release things that you otherwise couldn't. And there are a lot of yoga postures using the blocks that actually are tremendously powerful and transformative if you have blocks. And so I encourage you to use them, and use them to help you grow in your practice, not as a crutch, or not because you're not flexible, but because you want to grow and stretch and learn and strengthen and try poses in different ways. And so today you'll notice I'll cue a lot of sort of exploring and trying and see what works. And I encourage you to do that without judgment, if at all possible, remembering that that's one of the tenets of yoga and mindfulness, is letting go of the judgment and just noticing what feels good to you. And perhaps the thought will come in that the easier pose feels good to you, whatever the easier pose is, but it isn't necessarily easier. And then the other offering is that the stillness is often the harder, and the slowness is often the harder. And staying and doing the easier posture is actually often more of a stretch for your brain, and more growth and more learning and more body memory and health comes from that. And so just play with that, again, hopefully without judgment. So with that, get comfortable on your mat and notice actually if the block feels good or not. And if two blocks side by side, you can line them up vertically if that feels good. Notice what feels good to you, and how you'd like to do it, and where you feel the most comfortable. And as you arrive and settle, notice those sit bones, the ischial spines, connect downward. And notice whether the stability of the earth underneath you feels good. Is it grounding? Is it settling? Does it help some of that spinning and perhaps uncertainty of this moment settle a little bit? And with intention, tilt that pelvic bowl slightly forward and try to line up your spine. And just notice how it feels to line up each vertebrae, one stacked atop the other, all the way through the neck, all the way through the crown of your head. Reach the crown of your head towards the sky. Take in a deep inhale through your nose And then exhale through your mouth, letting things go. And if you happen to be one of the many people who has COVID and has a stuffy nose, you can breathe in and out your mouth. Again, there isn't a right way. Notice what works for you. And maybe it's different today than on another day. And breathe in through your nose once again. And out through your mouth. And take a moment and notice, does this feel good? Does this feel better? Breathe in and out. And notice if you want to lengthen the inhale and lengthen the exhale, or do a smaller, shorter one. How does that feel? And an offer to put one hand atop the heart and the other hand atop the first hand. So hand to heart, and notice how that feels to you. Does it feel grounding and settling and kind? And use it perhaps as a check-in. How do you feel this morning? How does the world feel? I know some of you are on the East Coast, so we'll say this afternoon too, but in this moment, how does everything swirling around you feel? Does it feel settled and calm and peaceful? Or is it swirling and chaotic without judgment? Just a check-in to notice how you feel. And take in a deep inhale and an exhale. Notice if that feels good. Another inhale into that pocket behind your heart. Filling it with nourishing air. And then exhale, letting go of that stress and judgment and what should be. And taking a moment to ask yourself, what would be kind for you today? What would feel good to you is another way to ask that question. Just allow whatever the answer to be. And perhaps set an intention to see if you can make something like that happen. And an offer that even if perhaps it's sunshine, for example, and it's not sunny where you are, where can you get that feeling of sunshine? Might it be from a pet or a child or some flowers or being in nature? It's the warmth of the sunshine. Where can you find that and bring a little bit of that kindness and what feels good into your life? Bring your hands to heart center, palms pressed together, finger pads touch. Massage them against each other one at a time and enjoy it. Press your thumbs into your sternum and elbows out wide. Take in an inhale through your nose. And an exhale, letting things go. And take a moment to set an intention for today's practice about exploring and noticing and listening and acting accordingly, listening to what your body craves, what would feel good, what does feel good, and allowing yourself to act accordingly and do that. Meaning, of course, that you don't have to listen to me. It's all an invitation to try. And then allow yourself the flexibility to adapt and do a version of whatever it is that might work for you. Harder is not better. The pain is not better. The listening and the learning is where the growth and the strength happen. Take in another deep inhale through your nose and an exhale through your mouth, letting things go. And then lowering your hands to your thighs. And if you closed your eyes, you can open them. And if they were open the whole time, that's perfect too. Noticing what your body did naturally without the direction. Take a moment here to settle into where you are. Sit bones connect downward into the strength of the earth. Pay attention to your core, your center, your navel, your belly button, whatever word feels good to you. In fact, perhaps bring a hand to it and just rest your hand there, connecting with it physically. And lower your hands to your sides. Inhale the arms up towards the sky. Right thumb and middle finger grab the left wrist. Connect the left hip downward and gently tip towards the right side. Stretch the left side, breathe into it. Deep inhale through your nose or your mouth, whatever works for you. And if it works for you, gaze over the left shoulder gently on the exhale. Notice how that feels. Breathe in, tug the left wrist gently towards the right. And a huge releasing exhale, enjoy. Come back to center. Switch the clasp of your hands. Left thumb and middle finger grab the right wrist. Right hip grounds downward. Tug the right wrist towards the left. Inhale deeply into every nook and cranny of that right side. Notice how good it hopefully feels. And on the exhale, if it feels good, turn your head over the right shoulder and breathe it out. Inhale once again. And then exhale, letting go if that works. Come back to center. Release the clasp of your hands, interlace your fingers, flip your palms towards the sky, shimmy your elbows by your ears. Stretch tall, 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 lengthen the side body, connect the sit bones into the earth, reach your palms towards the sky. Inhale deeply here. On the exhale, round forward, suck your navel towards your spine and allow your head and neck to drop. And enjoy it. Breathe in and out. Inhale, stretch up tall, slight arch. Allow your hands to reach slightly back over the head. Seated cow. Exhale, round forward, suck your navel in. Allow your head and neck to drop. Inhale, once again, stretch up tall. Unclasp your hands, reach them out towards the side walls. Press the palms into the side walls. Engage every muscle in your arms. Pinch your scapula together and release. Pinch together once again and release. Squeeze your fists tight, tight, tight. Everything engaged. And flick your hands wide open towards the side walls. Squeeze the fists. Fling the water. Squeeze the fists. Fling the water. Lower your arms by your sides and roll your shoulders out. Noticing if this feels good. Roll them forward or back first, whichever one works for you. Notice which one feels better. Noticing that you do know which one feels better, regardless of which one I suggest. Pick your hips up if you're sitting on something and move the block out from underneath you. Stretch your legs long. Move the flesh of your seat out of the way without judgment, whatever it might look like, feel like, so that you connect your ischial spines downward into the ground for stability and connect back with your navel. Tilt your pelvis forward, reach your chest out towards the front, crown of the head reaches tall. Everything is engaged here. Knees can be bent gently. Ankles are flexed, toes are flexed towards your nose. Inhale your arms up towards the sky once again. And exhale, fold forward towards your toes, release your head and neck. Your hands can come to your toes, your shins, your knees, whatever works for you. Allow the head and neck to release completely. And if it feels good to you, lower your knees closer to the floor. Closer is not better, but notice what feels good. Notice the release in the back of the legs. We carry a lot of tension and stress there. So breathe into it and allow the letting go and the release with gentleness and kindness, whatever it looks like. Once again, not pushing it, noticing what feels good in your body, taking the time to notice and even to enjoy it. Slowly walk your hands up your shins to your knees, to your thighs. Spread your legs apart wide, coming into a wide angle pose. Once again, rock side to side on those sit bones and ground the ischial spines into the earth so you're strong and tall. Belly is strong here. Hands come on the ground between your legs and you can walk them forward, fingers spread wide to wherever feels good to you, not overdoing it, waking up the backs of the thighs, noticing that your toes are in line with your knees and your feet are not wonky. Your pelvic bowl is tilting forward. You're hinging at the hips and the spine is straight, crown of the head reaching forward. You may be sitting quite upright, or you may have walked your hands quite far forward. Neither's better or worse. Once again, just waking up the backs of the legs and enjoying it. Spreading the toes wide, all 10 toes spread wide, wide, wide as you can, and release. Once again, spread them wide and release. Walk your hands back towards your groin, pick them up, bring them behind your butt, press your fingertips into the earth, straight your elbows, pick up your hips and move them forward a smidge, widening your V. And noticing that wider is not necessarily better, but just enjoy the change in sensations. Inhale into the chest, puff the chest out, fill up that pocket behind the heart that often is not open or available. Breathe into it. And a huge exhale, let it go. Once again, inhale, ground your sit bones downward on the inhale, chest puffs out, fill it up fully. And exhale, let it go. Come back to the sensation of your core. Release your hands, reach them up towards the sky. Inhale, reach tall, sit bones ground into the earth. Exhale, twist towards the right gently. Whatever works for you, drop your right hand behind the right buttock and left hand comes to the right knee or the right thigh, just gently resting, coming into a twist. Notice how much energy needs to happen in this core to keep this feeling good. Breathe into it, reach tall, tall, tall towards the sky. And exhale, twist a tiny bit farther towards the right, just noticing how it feels. Explore if more twist or less twist feels good to you. Breathe in once again, focusing on your core for stability and safety and centering. And exhale, twist a tiny bit more towards the right. Inhale, both arms up towards the sky. Exhale, twist back to center. Inhale, reach tall once again, lengthen both side bodies, use your core. Exhale, twist towards the left. Left hand drops behind the left hip, right hand rests on the left thigh. Breathe in, lengthen your spine, reach the crown of your head towards the sky, filling up your chest with nourishing, healing air. And exhale, bring it out gently, noticing if it feels good. Inhale, stretch tall. And exhale, release, allowing it to feel good, not overdoing it. Inhale, reach both arms up towards the sky. Exhale, twist back to center. Lower your arms back to the outer edges of your thighs. Stretch them, bring them, together in front, just shaking out your knees. And we'll swing our legs around, coming into hands and knees. Tabletop position. A pause here to notice and get organized, taking time for the transition. Spread all 10 fingers wide, equal pie shapes between each finger web. All 10 knuckles pressed down, both palms pressed down. Once again, go back to that belly and notice it. Draw it in a little bit towards your spine. Back is flat, even tabletop. Knees are shoulder width, tops of the feet rest on the earth. Take in an inhale here and an exhale. Inhale, reach your right arm up towards the sky. Exhale, thread it through the left hand and left knee, coming into thread the needle post. Back of the right shoulder comes to the earth, right ear comes to the earth. Palm faces towards the sky. Left arm can be bent, or you can walk your fingers long in front, stretching them long. Notice what feels good to you here. Notice if you want to cross those back feet, sometimes that can feel good. Keep them straight. Stretch further, stretch less. You can press the back of the right forearm into the earth and notice how that feels in the back of the right shoulder as well. Breathe into it. And exhale, let it go. One more breath here. If the left hand is reaching forward, stretch it forward another few inches. Wiggle the fingers, enjoy the armpit stretch. Exhale, let it go. Walk the left hand back by your face, press your palm into the earth, untangle yourself, reach that right arm all the way towards the sky and lower it towards the earth. Even yourself out. Both palms, all knuckles press into the earth, arms are straight and engaged, humeral heads in the shoulder sockets. Inhale, reach your left arm up towards the sky. Exhale, thread the needle on this side
And allow the back of the left shoulder, left ear to land on the earth. Stretch your fingers of the right hand long in front if that feels good to you. And breathe into all the pockets in the back that pop open here. Notice if it feels good and adjust if it doesn't. Act accordingly. Don't forget to act accordingly. Exhale, let it go. One more deep inhale here. And exhale. Walk that right hand back by your face, press into it, untangle the left hand and reach it towards the sky. Slowly lower it down to hands and knees once again. Walk your hands forward, a handprint, curl your toes and shoot your hips up towards the sky. Come into downward dog. Decide if you want your feet in a wide stance, a medium stance, or a narrow stance. Test them all out. See which one feels better to you today. Ground both hands into the earth. Straighten your arms, humeral heads into the shoulder sockets. Reach your sit bones high, high, high. Press into your hands. Lower your head towards the earth and just enjoy whatever that looks like for you. Bend the left knee and press your right heel gently towards the earth, noticing how that feels. Enjoy it if it feels good. Enjoy the lengthening and the stretch. If it feels too much, back out of it. Knowing that when we do less, it actually does more for us when we do what works for our body. Bend your right knee, press your left heel into the earth, and enjoy the stretch in the back of the left leg. And if you feel nothing, that's fine too. Sometimes we're so busy moving and acting and doing that we are not very in touch with how things feel. So if you don't feel something, that's okay too. This is just practice feeling, practice noticing. Lift up onto both tiptoes, high, high, high. Reach your sit bones towards the sky. Press into your hands and shoot those hips up and back a tiny, tiny bit more. Allow your neck and head to release fully towards the earth. Notice how that feels. High up on those tippy toes as you can. Hips are the apex. Noticing any shaking that might be happening in the arms, noticing what feels good or what doesn't. Slowly lower your heels towards the earth and enjoy that, whatever it is. And adjust it so you can enjoy it. You can walk your feet closer, wider, more narrow. Notice what works for you. Connect both palms into the earth, left ball of the foot into the earth. Inhale, raise your right leg towards the sky. Come into three-legged dog. Heel presses into the back wall. Exhale, hold it. Bend the left knee, stack the hips open and release the breath. Roll the ankle in one direction and the other, sending energy into the front of that right hip. Notice the buttock perhaps working. Enjoy the ankle rolls. Notice if you enjoy this or you don't. Some people love it, some people hate it. Neither is better. Straight the right leg, press the right heel into the back wall, and gently on the exhale, bring your foot between your hands. Come into Anjaneyasana or low lunge. And take a moment here to wiggle the right toes forward. Protect the left knee with a blanket or the folding your mat over, whatever works for you. Slowly rise up. Hands to the thigh to start. Allow the blood flow shift in your head to happen so you don't feel dizzy. And just take a moment here to adjust and adapt. Do you need to shimmy that back knee a little bit farther back to release the front of the right hip? Tap that right hip back, left hip forward, and enjoy how that feels. Does it feel better or worse? Act accordingly. Inhale, reach both arms up towards the sky. Enjoy that. On the exhale, sink into it a tiny bit more into the hips. Perhaps wiggle those right toes forward. Inhale, reach tall. Exhale, sink into it a tiny bit more. Notice what feels good and act accordingly. Inhale, stretch tall, tall, tall. And exhale, sink into it. Bring your hands to heart center. Press the thumbs into your sternum. Twist gently towards the right. Left elbow's gonna hook onto the right knee, palms together, elbows perpendicular to the floor. I think that's the way to say it. Coming into a twist. And notice what that does. And if you like it or not, if you don't like it, come out. If this hurts your knee, a blanket or fold the mat over, double underneath. One more breath here. Exhale, come back to center, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach the hands tall. Exhale, lower them down towards the earth on the inside of the right foot. Walk the right foot towards the outer edge of the mat. Roll it open onto the outer edge of the right foot and allow the knee to fall open, a big groin opener. Some of you will like this, and I've heard some of you hate this, and that's fine too. Compassion for whatever you feel. Some of you may want to come up off the back knee into a higher lizard pose if that works better for you, or knee on the ground, or make it a little bit more easeful. Breathe into all the nooks and crannies of the groin here. Allowing a release and noticing whether this feels too much, in which case back off, or you want more stretch and it feels good. Whatever is fine. Breathe into it. Exhale, let it go. Last breath here. Roll the sole of the right foot back onto the earth. Right hand comes to the outside of the right foot. Wiggle it back to the middle. Curl the back toes under. Lift the back heel off the earth, coming into a high lunge. Hands still on the earth. Straight the front leg, coming into a long triangle. Bend, come back into the high lunge. Your hands can be on the earth, or if you need blocks to bring the earth up to you, you can do that too. Straight the front knee, bend the front knee. Straight the front knee, and bend the front knee. Press up the back foot, pick up the back foot, bring it a foot or two closer towards the front of the mat. Come into pyramid pose. Both legs are straight. Tack your right hip back and the left hip gently forward, and notice the back of the right leg. Notice how it feels. If you have blocks, use them here to bring the earth up to you. We actually often get more of a stretch and a release and strengthening with the blocks. There isn't a right way to do it. Lift up the front toes of the right foot, lower them down. Lift up the heel of the back foot and lower it down. Inhale for a half lift, spine straight, crown of the head reaches forward. Sit bones stick back. Exhale, fold forward, full release over that right leg, and enjoy it. Breathe in deeply into the chest here, upside down, and exhale, let it go. Use this moment of what might be an intense release, but also relaxation hanging upside down here, to allow a different perspective, a shift in perspective. Letting go, perhaps, if that works for you. Last breath here. Step the back foot forward to meet the front foot. Come into a forward fold. Widen your feet a little bit. Easy forward fold in the sense that your knees can bend however it feels good to you. Let your hands dangle, fingertips grace the floor. Allow your head and neck to release. Shift your weight into your toes and into your heels. If you have the blocks, you can also use those here. Shift your weight to the left and to the right. Engage your belly and slowly roll up inch by inch by inch by inch. Head will be the last to rise, and enjoy it, but go slow. Notice the feedback and act accordingly. When you arrive standing tall, take a moment to adjust. Lift up all 10 toes, spread them wide, wide, wide. Draw in the energy and lower them down. Lift up your kneecaps, engage your thighs, tuck your pelvis gently. Stack your spine, one vertebrae upon the other, all the way up through the neck. Lift up those postauricular bones, crown of the head reaches towards the sky. Huge inhale and an exhale. Scrunch your shoulders up to your ears. Draw them back towards the back of the mat. Pinch the scapula if that feels good to you. And lower your hands, palms open towards the front. Tadasana or mountain pose. Notice here a pose that might seem easy in those words, and yet it takes a tremendous amount of strength for everything to be engaged and to borrow the energy of the earth to stand tall. And perhaps when we stand tall and aligned is when we make the most change, are the most effective, not when we're pushing harder, climbing a mountain per se. So can you pause here in stillness and notice what feels good? And if it feels good for you, you can close your eyes. Or if you want to bring hands to heart, and take a moment to think about what in your life feels good. What do you want to do more of? What do you want to explore? And how can you act accordingly? Lower your hands by your sides. Inhale, reach them out and up. Palms come together, slight arch back. Fold forward, forward fold. Inhale for a half lift. Spine is straight, crown of the head, reach forward, and sit bones stick back towards the back of the mat. Exhale, forward fold. Place your palms on the earth, step back to plank, and pause here. Focus on the strength of your belly. Fingers are stretched wide, both palms pressed downward, knuckles pressed downward, elbows extended, shoulders, humeral heads in the shoulder sockets. Tip your weight forward onto your tiptoes. Bend your knees, untuck your toes, and lower down chaturanga. Elbows connect towards your torso. Lower down slowly so the forehead grazes the floor. Weight is out of your hands. Untuck your toes. Inhale, lift up for a low cobra. Exhale, lower down. Once again, lift up for another low cobra. Weight is out of your hands. Heart shines forward. Gaze is forward. Crown of the head towards the sky. Exhale, lower down. Press into your hands, curl your toes, and press up to downward dog through tabletop if you need. And bring your feet back to whatever position worked and felt good last time. Wide feet, more narrow feet, middle of the range feet. Take a moment to pay attention to your hands and your wrists. Are they okay? Fingers spread wide, pie shapes, 10 knuckles pressed downward, both palms, elbows engaged, hips reach skyward, high, high, high. Downward dog is also a spine stretch. So notice how your spine is stretching, how it feels. Notice your heart hanging against gravity in your chest. Breathe into all the spaces around it. And huge exhale, letting things go. And here in this pause, give it a chance to fill fully and diastole. 2/3 of the time spent in rest is actually our natural state. And yet, most of our minds spend way more than 2/3 of the time not in rest, and the rest of our bodies not in rest. Could we get back closer to that natural state? One more breath here. Press both hands into the earth, right ball of the foot downward for stability. Inhale, raise your left leg towards the sky, three-legged dog. Press the heel into the back wall. Everything engaged here, strong, strong, strong. Using your core, your belly button to hold you safely. Exhale, stack the hips, bend the knee, roll the ankle. Notice what feels good here, which direction feels good. And if you need to adjust, do so. If you need to come out, do so. Roll the ankle in one direction and then the other. Re-square your hips, heel presses towards the back wall. Exhale, gently bring your foot between your hands, come into a low lunge. Take a minute here, wiggle the left toes as far forward as need be. Your knees should not extend beyond your ankle. Fold your mat over if your back knee is unhappy, and slowly walk up. Hands rest lightly on the left thigh, right hip stretches. Reach the crown of your head towards the sky, spine is long. Inhale, and exhale, sink into it gently. Notice the release in the right hip. Enjoy it if it's enjoyable. If it's too much, back off. Tack the left hip back, right hip forward. Notice how that feels. And shift it the other way. And the tack is like really in your mind. It's just a slight muscle engagement and shift, and notice how it feels. If it feels good to you, raise your arms up towards the sky. Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Inhale, stretch both side bodies tall, tall, tall. Reach your fingers tall towards the sky, and exhale, sink into it a little bit. Bring your hands to heart center. Twist towards the right, hook the right elbow around the left knee, coming into a twist, a low lunge twist. Breathe into it and notice all the sensations and act accordingly. If it's too much, back off. You need to come back to the center, do that. If your knee needs attention, do that. One more breath here. Coming back to center. Inhale, both arms reach up towards the sky. Exhale, lower them towards the earth on the inside of the left foot. Wiggle the left foot to the outer edge of the left mat. Both palms on the earth. You may widen your right knee out a little farther depending on how it feels. Roll onto the outer edge of the left foot, coming into lizard pose. You can stay up on your fists if that works. You can use the blocks. Some of you who are super flexy will want to come down onto your elbows. Decide what feels right for you. None is better or worse. Breathe into it. Listen to your body. It knows what works for it and what doesn't, if we took the time to listen. And imagine a life where you listened and you did what worked for you. I think we often think that's indulgent, but perhaps it's actually the most effective and the most easeful and the most productive. Rather than fighting what doesn't work, noticing what works and feels good and doing more of that. Knowing that we're all inherently good, beautiful, hardworking, productive people. Last breath here. Roll the left sole of the foot flat. Left hand comes to the outside of the left foot. Wiggle the left foot towards the center. Curl your back toes, lift up into a high lunge, and pause here for a moment. Grab your blocks if you want, or you can use your fists. Straight the front knee, come into a long triangle. Bend the front knee, come back into a high lunge. Straight the front knee, long triangle. Bend the front knee in a high lunge. Once again, straight the front knee, enjoy the stretch. However it feels, play with it too. Tap the hips, notice what happens. Lift up the front toes, lower them down. Bend the front knee, come back into a high lunge. Press off the back foot, hop it forward, a footprint or two, come into pyramid pose. You can widen your feet if need be, use the blocks if you have them, or not if you don't. Tack your left hip back, right hip forward. Lift up the front toes, stretch, spread them wide, draw the energy in, lower them down. Shift onto the back tiptoes, lower it, the heel down. Inhale for a half lift, spine straight, crown of the head reaches forward. Without blocks, just rest your hands on your thigh. Exhale, lower down, wherever that looks like for you. And release completely. Allow your head and neck to release completely. Breathe into it. Exhale, let it go. Once again, inhale deeply. Exhale, release. Last breath here. Step the back foot forward to meet the front foot. Knees loosely bent. Come into a forward fold. Hands can come to your elbows this time. Release your head and neck, really, truly, fully. Sit bones reach up towards the sky, knees are bent. Allow the full release and notice the upside down perspective here. Part of yoga is to shift your perspective. Notice, listen, and shift. Not force, not push, but shift. And it's an ever so slight shift, a degree here, a degree there, that ultimately leads you to a totally different way of being and living and feeling over time. There's no hurry, there's no rush. Release your hands towards the floor. Left palm flat on the earth between your feet. Bend your left knee, straight the right, twist towards the right, roll the right wrist out towards the sky in one direction and then the other. Lower it down, replace the right hand with, put your right palm on the earth, spread the fingers wide, right knee bends, left knee straight, twist towards the left, reach your left hand towards the sky, roll it in either direction. And lower it down. Engage your belly and roll up, inch by inch by inch by inch. Head is the last to rise. Give yourself a moment to adjust and adapt and arrive. Take in a huge inhale into your chest in whatever messy position you might be in. And an exhale, let things go. We're going to come into a balanced pose, tree pose today, feeling tree. Lift up all 5 toes on your left foot and lower them down. Bring your right heel to the inside of the left calf. If you wish, raise that right sole of the foot to the calf and bring your hands to heart center. I would stop here with that right foot today. Don't bring it all the way into the inner thigh. Pay attention instead to the bottom of the left foot, to all the toes connecting into the earth like roots of a tree. Draw the right knee back with intention, palms together at heart center for balance, and notice how it feels. Act accordingly to all the input about where to shift your weight, where to adjust. The stillness here and the not striving to do all the other things may bring some added challenge, mental or physical. Draw that right knee back slightly, a little bit more, engaging the buttock. If you wish, raise your branches towards the sky, stretch your fingers wide, wiggle them a little bit. And just notice if you're swaying in the breeze. Perhaps you want to call it that rather than tippy. It's very windy here today. And the wind sometimes brings swirl. So can you just enjoy it and react and adapt accordingly? Bring your hands back to heart center. Draw your knee towards the front. Try to stay balanced with the knee upright and the foot in the air here. Stretch the right foot long, right leg is long, bend the knee. Stretch your toe out in front. Notice any cramping maybe in the left leg. Bend the knee. Once again, stretch the toe long, leg is long extended. Bend the knee, lower it down and shake it out. Notice all those sensations in that left foot. Wiggle your ankles. Ground back into the earth like your strong and steady tree. Lift all 5 toes on the right foot and lower them down. Kickstand your left foot. Bring the sole of the left foot towards the flat to the calf of the right foot. Hands still at heart center. Tuck that left knee back towards the back wall. Engage the left buttock and pause here. Draw your attention to the sole of the right foot and all the toes. Are they working in a way that works for you? Stretch your arms up towards the sky like branches. And sway in the breeze if there's breeze where you are, or perhaps you're steady and still. Just notice. If you're having trouble with the balance, you can keep your hands at heart center and or find a spot in front of you on the floor that's not moving and use that.
2 more breaths here. Bring your hands back to heart center. Draw your knee towards the front. And if you wish, extend your leg long in front. Flex your ankle. Bend your knee, knees at hip height. Stretch your leg long in front. Bend the knee. Stretch the leg long in front. Bend the knee and slowly lower it down and roll out that right ankle. Roll everything out. From here, come to face the side of your mat in the middle, hands still at heart center. Stretch your feet out wide. Sides of the feet are parallel to the front and back edge of the mat, so legs are in a wide angle pose. Turn your left toes towards the front of the mat. Stretch your arms out wide in either direction. Bend the front knee, come into warrior two. Take a moment to look at your feet. You want to be in heel to heel alignment. So the heel of the front foot is matching up with the heel of the back foot. Back toe is pigeon toed. Front knee is bent, arms extend in either direction, warrior two. Breathe into it here. Drishti or gaze is over the front left middle finger. Deep breath here. Exhale, sink into the hips, sink into warrior two a little bit. Make sure the front toes wiggle forward enough that the left knee is not extending beyond the left ankle. Breathe into it. Notice your right arm, did it drop? Even it out. Inhale. With intention, drop the right hand down the right thigh, reach the left fingers towards the crease between the ceiling and the back wall, coming into humble warrior or peaceful warrior. Fanning open the front ribs, breathe into it and enjoy it. Notice if it feels good. Exhale. Another breath here. Exhale, come back to warrior two. Straight the front knee, shift your hips back. Reach those left fingertips long, long, long forward, coming into Trikonasana or triangle pose. Drop your right hand to your left hand to your left shin, or you can grab a block, place it in front of the foot, come into triangle pose. Notice what feels good here and adjust your triangle accordingly. If you wish, take the right hand and drop it into the left hip crease to open up that right shoulder and the right chest. If you're on computers all day or just tense and tight, like most of us, this will feel amazing. Breathe into the front of the right chest, shoulder drops that down and back. Left fingers reach and stretch into that left hip crease. Keep deep breath here. Exhale. Reach your right arm up towards the sky. Engage the right side body. Lift up. Bend the front knee, come back into warrior two. Straight the right knee. Bring your hands back to your hips. Turn your toes to face the side edge of your mat and keep turning. So the right toe is going to jet line to the back edge of the mat. Left toe is going to be pigeon toed. Check the heel to heel alignment. Bend the front knee. Extend your arms in either direction. Come into warrior two. Inhale deeply into the chest. Exhale, sink into warrior two and enjoy it. Drishti or gaze is where you put your attention over the right middle finger, looking long ahead, strong within, unfazed by all that's swirling around you. Strong and calm and quiet in this warrior two. Inhale, tip back, left hand stretches down the left thigh, right arm reaches gracefully towards the back wall between the sky and the back wall or the ceiling crease in the back wall. Right ribcage fans open and enjoy it. You might feel something in the hips or the waist, enjoy that too. And if you're not really sure what you feel, just notice. Sometimes we're not used to even noticing how we feel if it feels good, and then we can't act accordingly. we're just always reacting to what we can't tolerate. But when we take the time to notice and adjust and act according to ways that feel right for our body, everything works better. One more breath here. Exhale, come back to warrior two. Straight the front knee, left hip shifts way back, right hand reaches long as you can in front of the right toes. Drop the right hand to the right shin or the block, come into triangle. The block is actually really lovely and allows you to explore triangle more if you have them. And if you're not sure what kind of blocks to get, message me and I'll let you know. There's lots of choices. It's actually more personal preference, but I highly recommend them to make yoga more fun. One more breath here. If you wish, left fingers wrap into the right hip crease, roll the left shoulder open and enjoy that stretch in the front of the chest. Breathe into it. Notice what happens in that pocket behind your heart when you're here too, into that pocket. Enjoy it. One more breath here. Reach the left fingertips towards the sky. Exhale, come back upright. Bring your hands to your hips. Turn your toes towards the side edge of the mat. Start up tall. Hinge at the waist. Hands are still at your hips. Elbows can point back towards the back wall. Chest puffs out. Hinge at the waist. Fold forward. Lower your hands towards the earth. If you have a block, use them. We're going to come into a wide angle forward fold, which is a version of an inversion. So if you have a block, you can use the block and place your forehead on it. If you don't have a block, palms on the earth, fingers spread wide, back is straight. Notice the outer edges of your feet. Check to see that they are lined up with the front and back of your mat, parallel. Toes facing straight towards the side edge of the mat. If your head is on the block, take your third eye or your forehead and connect downward and adjust the block to where it feels good. Some people need 2 blocks too to be able to do this, and that's fun. I don't usually crack jokes, but it could be a block party since we can't have those these days. One more breath here in whatever position you are. Enjoying the sensations, whatever they may be, in the backs of the legs and the feet, in the head, a different perspective. Inversions are also about perspective. And bringing blood flow into the head, which we also don't do very often. When you're ready, you're going to come out of it slowly, noticing again the shifts in blood flow. I prefer to heel toe my feet in even when I'm halfway up because it feels better to me. You can come up in whatever way works for you, but notice and move slowly. Roll the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way up. Shrug your shoulders up to your ears. When you arrive, pinch them back towards the back of the mat and lower them towards the front, palms open. Take a moment here to notice and enjoy all the tingles. Wiggle your fingers, lift your toes up, wiggle your toes. And when you're ready, slowly transition down to seated on the mat. We're going to stretch our legs long in front of us once again. Move the flesh of the seat out of the way. Knees are bent gently, ankles flexed, heels on the mat, toes flexed a bit towards your nose. Engage your belly. Inhale, both arms up towards the sky. Exhale into an easy forward fold towards your toes. By easy, I mean don't overdo it. Make it easy for you. It's going to look very different for everybody. Some people are going to fold all the way down. Some people are going to just release their head and neck. Notice what feels good and just make it easy. Huge inhale into the chest space here. And an exhale, let it go. Walk your hands up your shins, to your knees, to your thighs.
Connect the sit bones or ischial spines into the earth once again. Arms reach out parallel to your legs and roll down inch by inch by inch with intention. Use this as part of the yoga, the transition to the earth. Noticing how you unroll the spine and allow your head to land on the earth. Hands rest lightly on the earth. Allow your toes to fall towards the outer edge of the mat, and just notice how you feel when you land here. A moment of stillness. Bend your knees and walk your heels towards your butt. Palms face downward. If you happen to have a block, I encourage you to try a supported bridge. They're really fabulous. And if you do have a block at home, I encourage you to hang out in this position. If you don't have a block, I'll cue the block first. You have a block, take it in your hand. As you lift your hips up, slide the block underneath you, place it right under the sacrum, the triangular bone, and lower your hips down to rest on the block in a supported bridge. And notice as you lie here, the release in the front of the hip flexors. If you don't have a block, press both palms into the earth, weight comes into your feet, reach the sit bones high towards the sky, coming into a bridge, knees connect energetically. All of you can shimmy your shoulders underneath you to open your chest a little bit. Without the block, you're going to use the buttocks and lift high towards the sky, grab the mat, tug the mat towards your heels, or you can clasp your fingers under your hips. It's a much more active posture, but still releasing the back body and opening up the hip flexors in a different way. If you are seated on doing the supported bridge, notice that as you just relax into it, things begin to shift. And this is a pose you can actually also do at the beginning of yoga instead of seated meditation, or during Shavasana. And it releases the front body in a way that most of us don't do at all. It's kind of magical. So I encourage you to try it if you have a block. Set a timer and hang out for 5 minutes and see what happens. Whatever position you are, take a deep inhale and an exhale. And if you're in an active bridge, slowly unroll your spine. If you're in the supported, take the block out and roll down. When you arrive, allow yourself to land and just notice what happens. Notice what feels good and what doesn't. Draw the right knee in towards your chest, grab the shin with your hands, extend the left leg long in front. Hug the right knee in. Exhale, release it into the hip socket a little bit laterally and enjoy it. Inhale, hug it in. Exhale, allow it to sink into that hip socket. Bring your hands to the back of the right thigh. Stretch the right leg long towards the sky. Heel presses towards the sky. Toes flex towards your nose. Point your toe. And flex your toe. Don't forget to breathe. Point your toe and flex your toe. Once again, point your toe and flex your toe. Bend the right knee in towards your chest once again. Left hand grabs the left shin. Left hand grabs the right shin. I'm a little dyslexic today. Draw your right foot over towards the left, coming into an easy twist. Extend your right arm long towards the right, palm open, and notice the stretch in the pecs and the armpit, and a little bit of a gentle twist. You can take your left hand, place it atop the right thigh. So you're twisting towards the left, right knee is bent, right arm is extended. Breathe into it here. And exhale, let it go. And notice, does this feel good, and act accordingly? Do you need to twist less, more? Is your arm happier in a cactus shape, stretch shape, or by your side, by your hips? Either one is fine. One more breath here. Roll back to center. Replace both hands on the shin of the right leg. Hug it in towards you. Huge inhale. Exhale, release it into the hip socket. Release your hands, extend the right leg long, side the left, and take a moment. Notice how you feel here, how different the two sides feel. Draw your left knee in towards your chest, hands on the left shin, hug it in. Exhale, drop it into the hip laterally. Inhale, hug it in tight. Exhale, release. Once again, inhale. And exhale. Bring your hands to the back of the left thigh, straight the left leg. Press the heel towards the sky, toes flex towards your nose. Point your toe and flex your toe. And point your toe and flex your toe. And point your toe and flex. Bend the left knee. Right hand comes to the left shin. Bring the left shin over towards the right, turning your body onto your right hip, coming into a twist. And the left hand can be in a T, a cactus shape, or by your side. Notice what you enjoy. And notice how far in the twist you want to go. You can use your right hand to hold up that left knee if you only want to go a little ways, because that feels better. You'll get a different waist stretch depending on how far you go. Notice what feels good to you. You can place your hand on the left thigh if that feels good. Breathe into it and let it go. One more breath here. Roll back to center. Bring your knees to your shin, hug it in. Exhale, release it back into the hip socket. Stretch the leg long alongside the right. From here, we're going to come into Shavasana. For most of you, you will want to do corpse pose with your toes reaching towards the outer edge of the mat. Legs extended long, palms open towards the sky about 6 inches from your waist. If your lower back bothers you, bend your knees, soles of the feet on the earth. You can also do Supta Baddha Konasana, which is reclining butterfly, if you want to open up your hips. I recommend blocks or a bolster under your knees if you plan to do that. Hands to heart, hand to belly, to begin in either position, any position. One hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. And just to check in, noticing what feels good. Sending yourself kindness for what feels good. And perhaps setting an intention to do and allow more of the things that feel good. And then in whatever position you are, legs stretched long, toes out by your sides, you place your palms open towards the sky about 6 inches from your waist, and allow yourself to let go, to relax if that works for you, to soften, perhaps to melt. Let the earth hold you, nourish you, borrow its energy, borrow its calm, borrow its strength, and borrow its rootedness as you lie here. Taking a deep inhale and a huge exhale, letting things go. And allow yourself a few moments here just to be. If the thoughts and distractions float in, send them on their way. Gently begin to deepen your breath. And slowly start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Take a moment to notice, hopefully, how good it feels in this moment. Take an inhale and stretch long if that feels good to you. And an exhale, release. Draw your knees into your chest and roll over to one side, whichever one you prefer. And pause for a moment in a fetal position. Arm can be a pillow. Taking a moment to allow the idea that what feels good can be good for you, and that perhaps you can trust and know and create a life in which you do more things that feel good. Hard is not better. Suffering is not better. But feeling good is actually better most of the time. When you're ready, press into your hands and slowly come up to a comfortable seat where we began. You can sit on a block or a bolster or just on the earth. Allow yourself to settle back in with ease into that Shavasana relaxed state. Your eyes can be open or closed, whatever feels right for you. Hands initially rest downward on your thighs, connecting, organizing, allowing the practice to integrate. Notice your sit bones on the earth, palms on your thighs. Draw your attention to your heart space, sending it kindness and compassion. If it feels good, bring a hand to heart, the other hand atop. Rub the palm of one hand on the dorsum of the other, enjoying that skin to skin contact. Enjoying the palm of the hand on your heart, pressing inward, sending yourself a little oxytocin, some compassion, some kindness. Perhaps committing to take good care of yourself. Doing the things that feel good to you and are good for you. Bring your hands to heart center, palms together, rub each finger pad. Enjoy the sensation there, the tingles. Thumbs connect to the sternum, elbows out wide. Take in an inhale here. And a huge exhale, release. And enjoy. Thank you all so much for practicing with me today. Have a beautiful week. May you all feel good. May you all find joy. May you all laugh. May you all feel inspired. And may you all find a little bit of calm and peace. Have a beautiful week. Thanks for coming. I forgot to say I'm going to teach next Sunday, same time, same place. So I'd love to see any of you. And there, for those of you who don't know, there's lots of recordings of other classes on YouTube if you want to take them in the intervening time, or you can't come to the live class. They're there for you. And reach out if you have any questions or need block recommendations. And if anyone wants to do yoga with me in person, join me for a retreat. They're super fun. And I would love to meet more of you in person. It's a joy for all of us.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great week. Weekend. Be safe.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Have a good week.
You too.
Thank you, Jessie. I really needed that today.
I'm so glad.
Appreciate it.
I'm so glad. That makes me happy.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.